Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Beauty Biz Buzz, where I introduce beauty professionals. Like today, my guest is Nicole Villorente. I hope I said that correctly. Hi, Nicole. How are
Wow,
you?
very fancy. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's been a while since we seen each other.
Yes, yes. We go back a while, right, Janice?
I believe since beauty school.
Yep,
I think
yep.
that's where we met for the first time.
Yeah.
So I know that I can remember from beauty school, you were working at a hair salon, correct? Like,
Yes.
how long were
Yes.
you working in a hair salon before you decided to go to beauty school?
Oh, I wasn't working at a hair salon. Well, technically I was, but I actually was a receptionist at
Oh, that's what it
head
was. Yes.
cutters. Head cutters years and years ago. And but my mom was a hairdresser. So I grew
That's
up
right.
with being around it. And I remember wanting to go to BOCES in high school, and she wanted no part in me doing that. And it just so happened that I wound up working at this head cutters as a receptionist because I was just extra money. And it kind of reignited that passion, I guess, of maybe wanting to go to hair school. So I remember going and looking. My older son was little at the time, like 3, and it just was too overwhelming. Like, I was newly divorced, didn't really
Especially
have
with a
anybody that could
three-year-old.
watch him. Yeah. So I didn't, it just wasn't something that I was really going to be able to do at the time. So I kind of just tabled it, and then I
Why do
revisited
you
it like
feel why
years later.
why do you feel that your mother kind of was trying to push you away from the beauty business? Like why in
Well,
her because since she was a stylist, why do you
yeah.
think she was trying to get you out of that?
So the beauty industry has changed dramatically over the last, I don't know, even 30 years, right? I would say even maybe 40 at this point. But she, I don't think it's necessarily something that she ever really, I don't know if she would have picked to be a hairdresser. Is back when she got her license and decided. So her story to me was she was in high school and she was called down to the guidance counselor's office and sat down and said, guidance counselor said, "You're not college material. Your options are be a secretary or go to cosmetology school." Now, she graduated high
That is
school
crazy.
in 1966. So,
That is crazy.
my grandmother had her cosmetology license. My aunt had hers. So it's kind of like I think she just said, you know what, let me go with that. It sounds like something I might want to do.
Yeah.
So,
I
and
mean,
she
personally,
was very good.
I feel like if the principal is putting her down, like instead of like pushing her up to be whatever. I mean, I guess back in the days it was like that. And back in the days, if
Yeah.
you were a hairdresser, you're like you really weren't nobody. Like, you know,
No, it was not a
it's not
career
what
that
it
you
is
kind
now.
of no. It was definitely, in my opinion, and you could say this too, maybe, but I think that it wasn't looked upon as it is now. I think that a lot of people now see it as more of an art. It's back in the where they were getting, and not to say, and not, let me tell you, the roller sets and the finger waves and all that stuff that they were doing back then, you know, listen,
And
we know what
perms
finger
and
waves
like,
were like in the beauty school. So,
yeah.
but those people were just coming in once a week for their, roller sets and their beehives. And it wasn't, you had to be in the salon 9 to 9 on your feet all day. There was no making your own hours. There was no, it was rough, tough work. And I think you were
And cutthroat.
viewed cutthroat. And I think you were viewed, like what I go back to is, is the movie Grease. You know, what is it? Beauty School Dropout. And
Yeah,
that was the timing. And so I think that you were just hairdressers were kind of, gum popping ditzes in a way back then, not like a career, more of. And so right, we always want better for our kids, right? So I think that that was her reasoning maybe. But guess
yeah.
what?
Especially that, I mean, you're making things happen, but especially back then, the way it was, like we all want better for our kids, right? So
Right.
we guide them to the right direction, but now it's like a different story. And so also I see that because you had your kids early and you're in the same as position as I was, we started beauty school later in life in our 30s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I was
do
35.
you, and I was 33, 32 going on 33, in which that was what,
Yeah.
12 years ago? It's crazy. And you know what?
Yeah.
People had said to me, because I was going back to school and I worked at a school with special need kids, and I did it because my kids were younger. But I remember going back to school and people like, why you want to be a hairdresser? Like, you want to become a nurse? Like, hairdresser still
Yeah.
12 years ago was still
Yeah.
put
12
down.
years ago.
It's like,
Yeah.
why you want to be a
Yep.
hairdresser? You're going to be standing up all day long. Nurses, I think nurses stand as well. They stand all
Yeah.
day long
Yeah.
and walking. So I don't know. But now going back to beauty school, now you had only your first son, or did you? How many kids did you have
Yeah.
once you went to beauty school, Long Island Beauty School?
No,
You had,
I had my older son, and then Steven, my youngest, was only. I actually timed it really well because he was four, so he was in preschool when I started, because I originally had started part
wow.
time, so it was like 9 to 1 or
Hmm.
something. So I worked it out where he was going to be in preschool half the day, so I would go to school half the day, then pick him up from daycare. And then I knew by the time I graduated, he was going to be going to kindergarten full time, and I would be able
Oh,
to work in the salon. So I
yeah,
really did time it pretty good. You know, I
yeah.
I wound up prior to that working as like an administrative assistant, like secretarial stuff, which funnily enough, a lot of my clients were my bosses. Like
Oh, that's
years and years
awesome.
ago before I went to hair school. I have a client, she's been my client for probably since I opened Sola. She's been my client that long, and she was my boss, like at
Oh,
the
wow.
company that I worked for. So
So she found out you're
she's been
doing
with me
hair and
since day
see,
one.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's so funny. So, and
So,
I've done
so when you
when I
started,
did use. Go ahead.
mhm. No, yeah, so when you started beauty school, were you still, you were at a salon, correct, right?
No,
You weren't doing
no,
secretary work.
I was doing secretarial stuff. What happened was, is I
Oh,
was,
okay.
yeah, I had gotten this secretarial type job through a temp agency, and with that, you have like a contract, and at the end of it, the company can either buy you out of it, or they could say we don't have any more work for you or whatever. So I found out that if I wasn't my contract wasn't bought by them, I could get unemployment. So at that point, I said, I'm going to go to the school and I'm
Get
going
paid.
to school. And
Hmm.
thankfully, I have a
And make
supportive
at least have
husband.
money. Yeah.
Right. And so that's how I did it because, being older, we have bills, we have kids, we have stuff to pay for. Like, there was no plan B. Like, this had to work. Like, I
And I
had
think that's why
no
it did work.
I
I don't believe in plan Bs. I really
maybe,
don't. I believe either you only have one plan, because if you have a plan B, you're like, you don't put so much effort because you have something else that you could fall on. But if you have one thing and you
right.
have, this is it, I can't go back. This is what I'm going for. And look at where you at now from when you started. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I definitely
It
don't believe in
was
plan B at all.
it was like my thing was I needed to figure out, so my older son is from my ex-husband. My younger one is with my husband now.
Hmm.
During this time, my husband now, we weren't married at the time. My younger son's
Yeah.
father had gotten an offer to move to North Carolina, making New York money, blah, blah, blah. But my older son's dad was like, that's not happening. Like, you're not moving. I don't know what to tell you. I need my son in my life,
Yeah.
which is what you want to hear from your son's father, right?
Understandable. Yeah.
So it was a little bit of a wake up call for me saying, like, I have to figure out how to make it on Long Island where I'm never going to get laid off
Expensive.
again. I'm not like I need to make my own money. And we all know Long Island, New York is expensive, right? So I was like, I have to figure out how I can make it here because there is no other plan. Like, we're not going to be able to move. It's not happening. So this, it was make or break, really. So
So
that's
I have to
like,
ask, going back to beauty school, being the age that you were, so we were older going in. How did you feel? I mean, I know how I felt being in there. How did you feel? Because I know it was difficult because we were surrounded by teenagers that thought that beauty school was high school. And I just felt I
yeah,
couldn't wait to get out. Like, how was
yeah.
it for you? What
Well,
was your experience?
I wound up switching from part time to full so that I
Hmm.
could get done sooner. Um, but I actually, my husband and I were going through a lot at that time. My husband now,
Yeah.
because we were hanging out with younger girls. I had lost some weight, like a lot of weight. I'm now doing this new career. It was a transition period for my marriage, my life. I mean, I had girl, and I still remember it to this day. My husband was going through his little thing with she's
Yeah.
bettering her, not that he would ever feel like that, but it was just kind of like his confidence was taking a little bit of a hit because now I'm surrounding myself with younger girls. I don't know. It
He
was
was
a
afraid
little
he was gonna
weird.
lose you. You're like making more
Yes.
money. Like she's gonna be
Yes.
like, yes, I
Yeah.
know that feeling.
Yeah. And so I finally had to say to him, like, one day, I was like, listen, I am not going, like, you're going to push me away if you don't get on board. Like, you need to get it together or I'm going to go out. You're going to push me away. And I actually had a really good
Meanwhile,
girlfriend of
your
mine
your
say to me,
mentality wasn't. I mean, your mentality was
no,
like you weren't going nowhere. You're just bettering yourself so you guys could have a better life. But it
it
wasn't
was
to
for
build
us.
yourself and go exactly. And some men
It
sometimes
was
get
for us.
intimidated by that a little bit. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually had a good girlfriend of mine at the time say to me like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you going to school and why are you doing that? Like, you changed. You changed. And I'm like, you're 1,000% right, I changed. I changed
for
for
the
the
better.
better. Like, I 100% changed. I evolved and I'm changing and I have goals. Like,
Well,
just because he's feeling the way he's feeling doesn't mean that I should not do those things for our family. So yeah, it was
exactly.
a little bit of an
And
interesting time.
speaking of change and you're bettering yourself and you have goals, and I'm telling you, I've seen you from starting beauty school to where you are now. So I've seen you on social media getting yourself out there. Um, have you feel that you lost friends because now your goals over here and they just either jealous or they can't keep up with you?
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, family even. A
Really?
lot of relationships, family wise, are not the same. I was working. I had my cousin working with me for 2 years. And you know what they say, family and working together doesn't always
It's
mix, and
definitely challenging.
yeah, not the best idea. But listen, that time, I feel like with every thing that we go through, it's a learning lesson, and it's you
Hmm.
take it, and yeah, in the moment it might be really hard and you're upset and you go through your feelings, but it's a learning learning experience, and you learn from those not mistakes, but you learn. Like,
And
you
you
know
move,
too,
and
we're kind of,
you move up. You keep
yeah,
going. You can't stop. You got
you
to
keep
just keep
going.
going. Hmm.
I mean,
So
you're in the
going back,
same.
listen,
Go ahead.
I've been through, probably we're similar. I
Yeah,
think we've been through the same
yeah,
things, actually. We're pretty
yeah.
much similar to where we started and where we're at now. So when you went to beauty school, now you graduated, what was your next step?
So before I graduated, I had started working in the salon. So the salon that I was actually going to for my hair, like they would do my hair. Now my mom was a hairdresser, so she did my hair all growing up, but she had moved, my parents had moved away. So
Okay.
my sister and I were left in the lurch, like, what are we going to do? Where are we going to get our hair done? And we had found this salon in Sayville, and we were going and we had a relationship with the owner and whatever. We had followed them to opening their own salon. There was two owners. So during when I was in school, I had gone to them, and I had to swallow my pride a little bit. I didn't want to say, "Oh, I'm in hair school now, so give me a job." Like, but I went and I said, "Look, it's not about the money for me," which will lead us into another part of this conversation, I'm sure.
Yes,
But I
yes.
said, it's not about the money. I
It's
want to
about the
learn.
knowledge.
Now, mind you, I was just going to be an assistant. I just wanted to be an assistant. I wanted to
You
get
just
in
wanted to
there. I
fit
wanted to
in.
learn. And I said, I don't care about the money. It's more of like, I just want to get in and learn. And let me tell you,
Hmm.
like, they weren't hiring. It's not like they were hiring. And and a few hours after I left, they called me and they said, we'll take you in a couple of days a week. And then it just so happened that I started, and another girl who was an assistant wound up leaving. So I got right into her spot. And
Oh,
I
wow.
started at 35 years old as an assistant, as washing hair, cleaning.
So
I mean, there
you,
were days I left there crying. I'm sure you know.
yeah. Well, how long were you an assistant before you had the chair, though? I'm sure you weren't an assistant for too long.
So no, it was like maybe a year, because but there were girls that worked there that were assistants for 6 7
4 years.
years.
Yeah.
Do you know
Yes.
why? Because
They're afraid.
I say it all the time. There's no seniority in this business. Just because you've
It's
been
what you
an
know.
assistant for 6 7 years doesn't mean you're getting a chair. You have to show what you could do. So for me, it was a little different. These girls are younger. Their assistants are like, 19, 20. Their friends want free hair. I'm in a little bit at the time. A lot of my friends that are seeing what, and I started posting stuff right away on social media, Facebook at the time, because it was how many years ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
Instagram really wasn't a thing, and my friends would see it on Facebook, and then I started bringing them into the salon, and then the salon is seeing what I'm doing. And so, like, that's how it works. You can't just think that they're going to hand you their book of clients. It doesn't work that way.
Like, as you
Although
know, and I know,
apparently it does.
I had a salon. Yeah, I had a salon as well as you did, and I had assistants and stylists that would think they would sit in the chair and walk-ins will come in, and we're gonna feed it off of them, and it's like it doesn't work that way, you know.
No, and what's sad is that I actually did operate it that way. Like, I actually operate, meaning if you couldn't, my belief when I had, the girls with me, and if my clients called and couldn't get in, I would obviously it was up to the client to make the decision, but I would always offer the girls, because I had full confidence in my team that they could do what I could do. So
Yeah,
my main concern was making my clients happy. So if that meant they could get their touch up done when they needed it done, and the girls are available, by all means. That's how we operated. It didn't mean that the next time you can't come back to me or, bounce around. That's how I operated. Because when I worked at the salon in Sayville, the owner was not like that. He would have himself double, triple booked, yelling at all the girls and have stylists sitting there doing nothing. When now these people, where moms, where, you can't sit in the salon for all day long on a Saturday when you have kids and you have a husband at home and you have all this
Yeah,
running around to do with errands. Meanwhile, that's what it was like there, because he wanted it all for himself and didn't want to, which, like, I get it, but I just felt that that was the way that I wanted to run things because of what I saw working in the salon. I just
exactly.
felt like, who has time for that?
And then you're wasting time too, as like you said, as a mother, you have to be home. So this is why I like the scheduling now, how it is compared to what it
Right.
was before, that you had to be at work on a Saturday, no matter what, if you had clients or not. Now it's like you book your own appointments and you come in. Um, so once you were working, how long were you working there before you started open up your suite at Sola Salon?
About 2 years, I think it was. So what
Okay,
happened was, is I was really into bridal. And again, I had gotten an offer from a different salon for to come in, and they were more bridal driven than the salon that I was in, and I felt like that was a better fit for me for what I was aiming towards. So then I had gone back to the salon and told them that I was leaving, and then they countered the offer. And they said, if you stay, you we'll give you free reign. You can do whatever you want bridal. We'll basically finance it for you, meaning like, you know, you have full control. You could create, a website, whatever. So I did. I busted my butt and I did everything. I would do hair shows, like, like the bridal showcases at the catering halls. And I wasn't getting paid. I did not get paid to do these things. Like,
wow.
I did their pamphlet, like their brochures for bridal. I did coordinated a bridal photo shoot where I went to the local dress shop in town and offered my services to her when she had like trunk shows, and I would offer to do the girls that were modeling the dresses their hair for free, so that at the shows, I would then offer a free trial to the brides. And that's what I did at the showcases at, the catering halls. I would offer a free trial. I would do a demo and have a girl there, and I would be doing the hair while people were walking around. And I would say, book a free trial. And then I knew as soon as I would get them in my chair that they're booking their wedding. So that's how I really built
Exactly.
up the bridal business. But I created this whole business for them. And being new to the industry, I didn't really know kind of what I was worth. I didn't know how I should be getting paid or not be getting paid. And they,
How much you
I
should
couldn't be,
charge.
right. Like, I had to bring everything through them. I couldn't say, on a Saturday, "Oh, well, I have a wedding to do, so I can't work." No, they were so I had to, they were only paying me commission if I was going on location. If I was bringing in a wedding that I got on my own, they gave me no commission. They just gave me straight regular pay, which was, and then I
And
started to realize, like, why am I creating this whole thing for them
but
when I could be
but
doing
you
it for
know
myself?
what you got out of this? It was knowledge. Because first of all, if you didn't do this right, you wouldn't know how to set up a wedding. You didn't know how to do a contract. You didn't know how everything worked. So there's times
No,
where
I
we're not
learned.
getting paid. Exactly. But how do we get paid? By knowledge. And I feel like nowadays these girls are missing that. They just think that every time they do something, they need to get paid instead of having knowledge. And that's where I feel like they fall back a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I would work Sundays for free. I didn't get paid to work Sundays. It was just to get my name out there. Like, you're I'm sorry. As far as I knew in this industry, you're nothing unless you have a following. Your clients are what is your business. Without
And
clientele,
how
you
they go
don't have a business.
exactly, and how they gonna know you? They're gonna know
Right.
you when you get yourself out there. If you don't get yourself out there, nobody knows who you are. I mean, now it's a little bit easier for more stylists because of social media, and you just post and post. But like me, I moved out here to Florida. I literally
Right.
had zero clients, so I did have to work for free. So I could post because I didn't have nothing of my salon. I mean, yeah, I had my old stuff, but people knew that wasn't my salon. I'm not. Am I not working here? So I had to make sure I work for free to build that clientele and so on, so on. But I feel like
Right.
nowadays people just don't want to
No.
work for free, and they don't realize how much
No.
they're missing by doing that.
Yeah. And I call it pounding the pavement, and it might not be in the same way as years ago how that term was, meaning like, the stylists back, were putting flyers on cars, and in that way. Now it's pounding the pavement on social media, meaning like
Which is a
you
lot
have to
easier.
be in yes, which is a lot easier. Not like what we, right? You know,
Yeah, it's way
but
easier.
I tell people you have to be annoying. You have to be in people's faces 24/7, on consistently on social media, because I said, what are people doing? They're in the doctor's office, they're waiting for the doctor. They're on their phones, right? They're like scrolling on Instagram. They're on, I mean, maybe Facebook, but that's what they're doing. Nobody's reading a magazine in a doctor's office anymore. Like, that's
No,
where they're going to see your stuff pop up. They're not going to, you know, uh, you have to be literally everywhere, but you also have to be out in the community, right? You have to be networking with other
yeah,
women in business. You have to get your face out there in other
yep. I
ways as
started
well. You can't just
gym. I
rely.
started going
You
to
can't just rely on
church.
social
I
media.
No.
Yeah.
That's why I started joining places and joining the gym, joining the church, doing things, getting my name out. Nobody knew me in Florida. I was nobody to anybody. So I had to get myself out there and meet people. As much as my kids would tell you back in the days I was antisocial, I had to get rid of that antisocialness and get to know people. Like I couldn't.
Yeah.
Um,
You do. You you can't be you can't wait for it to come to you. It's not going to just, I mean, I'm sure you've
I mean,
had
I
slow
wish.
weeks. Right. I wish you've had slow weeks. I've had slow weeks to the point where you're like, oh, did I just like lose all my clients? Like, what is happening? It gets scary sometimes.
It,
And
it
then,
does.
you could just sit back and be like, oh, well, no one's coming in this week, or I don't have I only have how many clients on the books this week. No. Or you could be like,
You
let me
post
throw up
harder.
a keratin special, or let me throw, something out there, post it in
Yeah,
the community pages on Facebook. What's the worst that's going to happen? Nothing. Like, you can't
yeah.
be scared of people seeing. And I think that's where maybe the younger girls fall in, is that they're so scared of judgment, right? They're like, you're putting your work out there. So a lot of, and like this industry, we get it. Like, everybody talks, there's a lot of drama that goes on, whatever. But you have to get rid of that. You cannot care.
N-
You cannot care
Yeah.
what anybody else thinks. You have to just
People
like
are always going to have
not
something to say
care.
about you, say something about your work, say something about, everything because either they could do it better or which we talked about this before. Like it's sad that us hairdresser are against each other, which I don't understand why. Like let's learn from each other. Why be like,
Yeah,
oh, I could do better than her and criticize her work or whatever? Then show her, maybe give her some pointers. I mean, I don't understand why this field is the way it is. They really don't. They want to. I mean, it's gotten better to where it was before. Before they wouldn't even share
it has gotten
even
better.
anything with
Yeah.
you. So definitely gotten
Yeah,
better.
it
So
has
when
gotten
you
better.
moved into when you moved into solar salons and you went in there, how much clients did you have and how did you feel going in? Like did you feel nervous? Did you feel excited or both like what was going through your head?
Uh, I was terrified. Like, we all know, like, it's a bill weekly, right? Like, they don't
Weekly.
play. It's like they're drafting that right out of your bank account weekly. And I have to say, Dan, Dan at Sola was
Yes.
a godsend. Like, he was a dream. Like, if I starting there was the best decision I ever made, 1,000%. Um, but I was terrified in the beginning, and I didn't have clientele. All I had was my bridal. So I was booked on the weekends, but I wasn't booked consistently during the week. So, I mean, that's what I was really using to kind of build. And what I did was we had gotten I guess like a sign-on type of bonus plus, some type of with the products, with the distributor. And so a lot of my product and color and stuff that I got was free. I wasn't an investment on my thank I mean, I don't know how they work now, but that's it just so happened that that's what I was walking into. And the way I looked at it was, you know what? I might be instead of sitting home, let me just go in. I think I ran a Groupon, which I would never, in the beginning, maybe it's a good idea, but not really. It's just a good idea for hairdressers for content and pictures. Like, you're not
I think it's a
gaining those
good idea
clients.
if no, they're I called them Groupon hoppers. And
Yeah.
so meaning that they will come
Well,
to
we
you
had
and come
another
on to
affectionate
they
name.
weren't. Yeah. And you know, to me it was more of a learning experience on their head. And when I had my salon, that's what I
Correct.
used my stylists for. The ones that just graduated beauty school is learn on their head. Yeah, you're only paying like, well, if they pay $75, really we're getting like 25 to $30 out of that 75 for the
Right. I mean, it
$150
was
service.
like not a lot
So
at all.
no, no, not at
The
all.
way I looked at it was at least I'm getting before and afters. And that's what I did. I mean, like at the time, Facebook was big, and I just started posting my before and afters. And I think that's one of the things that set me apart from a lot of girls at the time was and maybe even now, but a lot of people post these beautiful their work is gorgeous. They post beautiful pictures, but and I just hear this from feedback from clients that I have and that have come to me, and they say that there's these beautiful pictures of their of hair but nothing before. So they people are very visual, right? So they want to relate. They want to relate their current situation of what they have going on with something they see. Like, oh, I didn't know that my hair can actually look like that. I look like that before picture now. So wow, I can actually get that result.
Yeah.
I was posting those befores, which really, you know, is what I was able to, I feel like, build pretty quick because of the before and afters that I was posting. So I don't know. That's how I
Well, I
built
mean,
the color.
that's how I build social media, period, like as well. I would say most of my clientele now is coming from Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram, and not so much in Long Island was Facebook, but even that. And then here is Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say Instagram, but like I had a new client come in the other day. She was new. She's in the area. They moved here recently into the area. And it's funny because I spent a decent amount of money in the last year or so on a website, and I had it professionally done. Like, I paid someone to do it. He hosted for me. He's amazing, by the way. And the reason why I really picked him and his company is because he specifically specializes in doing salons, websites for salons. So I really liked that, and I was looking for a rewards program for my clients. And like a lot of times you hear of, oh, you're enticing new clients to come in, right? It's like, oh, come in and new clients receive this and new clients receive that. And what about the people that have been with you since day one? What about them? I wanted something that would cover all bases, like rewarding the clients that have been my loyal clients for how long, and also, kind of enticing referrals. people to refer. So anyway, he handled all this for me, and this woman said to me the other day, she's a graphic designer, and she does websites. So she said to me that it was my website and my social media out of the salons in the area is why she chose me.
Very
And
nice.
the vibe that she was getting by both. And I said, "Ooh, give me feedback on the website because like I paid for that." She was like, "No, you could tell." You could tell, and I was like, "Well, how? In what way? Was it set apart?" And she
Yeah.
said, "There's just little tricks and things that I know being a graphic designer, and I also do websites, that I knew that it was done professionally." And there was a this was like part of the reason why I really wanted to go and invest the money in the website, because the thing social media, like even what's going on with TikTok right now, social media, we can't rely on social media for our business, right? Like you have to have some other funneling type of, like, what happens if Instagram was gone tomorrow? What would
Well,
what's
TikTok
the
might be
fallback?
gone, so
Well, that's what I'm saying. So these girls
so
that are just,
anything is possible.
focusing just on that, I really think, you have to think outside the box. You have to. We're in a recession. People really want perceived value. They don't want to be spending their money. They want value for their money. They don't. They're really going to be a little picky as to where they're going.
Exactly.
So,
Um, so and that's where value comes in play as well. Like you have to give good service, good value of what you're charging, because I've seen people charge ridiculous amount of money, which is fine. Each is on where you want to charge, right? But you're not giving the value to that service. And I feel like we
no.
after COVID, we kind of lost that. A lot of people lost it where they're just like, okay, I just got to make the money, get it, people in and out, and then the value or the quality of the service is gone. I
Yeah.
noticed that
Well,
with
that's the thing. Like
nails.
during COVID, we all came back from COVID. We were so busy, we didn't know what to do with ourselves. And people were lining up. You had no problems getting people in. People were just like, I mean, it
They
went
were
on
fed
for a
up.
while for us. Like it was just nonstop, right? And now all of a sudden, it's like,
You know what's the
where is
crazy
everyone?
part? That first week, that first week that I opened up, I swear to you not. I would say, yeah, probably was a week. I did my numbers. No joke, I did $17,000 in a week.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's never happens.
I
But because
can't.
and I
The
literally
amount of money that we were raking in. And it's
but
like,
we had no
yes, it was such a
life.
horrible time. It was such
But
a
it
horrible
made up for
time,
the
but I
time
had
that
so
we were
much money.
closed.
So much money. And I look
You
back and I'm
made
like,
up.
oh my God. But
You
the
made
point
up for
is
the
that,
time that you were closed. You tripled it. You
right.
made it up, you
I
tripled
almost
it,
said to
but
myself,
you
wow, maybe I should close for 3 months at a clip just to like
it was
have that again.
but
Because,
you
and
worked
oh,
hard.
listen, during COVID, the two of us multiple times were on calls just like this. Well,
Yep.
if similar to this, drinking wine and crying about, what our business is going to look
What a
like.
future
I
holds.
mean, we had no idea. We had no idea.
I
We
mean,
were just like, do we have a business? What is happening?
and you wanted to do things correctly, right? You wanted to follow the rules, but it was getting to a point where you didn't know. Like I was a single mom paying my rent, paying the rent for the salon and all that. Like I didn't know what my future held. So towards the end, I started going to people's houses and doing hair, even though I was
Yeah.
risking my license.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the government wasn't giving me any money. Nobody was. I know people were getting checks
No.
here left and right, but I did not get a dime from the government. So I
No.
had to make sure that I
Nope.
was able to hold myself up.
Yep. I mean, it was like The only thing that I had was, it took forever, obviously, for us to get any type of unemployment. I think I wound up getting, yeah,
I didn't
you
get
got the
anything.
back pay and whatever. I think I got it 2 weeks before we reopened.
Nope, I didn't get
Like,
a
oh,
dime. I
thanks. Like,
wish
what
I
was that?
did.
Like, I didn't get any PPP loan or any of that stuff. I never got. Um, so it was scary, and it was funny how, like, not funny. I mean, now you look back, it's 4 years ago, but my husband at the time was doing events. Like, he was working for like a high-end event company, and a lot of their jobs were in Manhattan and stuff like that. And guess what? There was no events happening. So we went from, like, literally having two incomes to, like, absolute zero. I mean, it was like whatever we had in the bank and whatever was like, okay, like food and prescriptions. Like, that's where you're,
Yeah,
like, not even rent, or it was like, well, what's the priority? Like, our
surviving mode.
prescriptions and food. Like, that was it. And then he actually started working for a company that was doing events, but they kind of saw the writing on the wall and they put in a bid to do like Meals on Wheels. So he would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and drive from Yaphank all the way to Coney Island to pick up food to then deliver it on foot. Like, well, he would drive or whatever, but in the communities, in the high-rise buildings and all this. And some of it, like Rockaway, Queens, Brooklyn. And he did that from March during COVID. He did this from March to, I believe, September, just to get us money. Like, he would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and drive to Coney Island because
That's crazy.
what were we gonna do? There was no money. We needed money. We had kids. We have So thank
And
God for
and
that. That was like, thank God,
and
because there was nothing
but you didn't
coming
even
in.
know. But you didn't even know how long this was going to go on for. At first, we thought,
Right.
a week, 2 weeks, and it just kept going
2
and going.
weeks.
And so it was definitely
Yeah.
scary.
And we got no guidance on the reopening. Zero. Nobody had an idea what the heck we were doing. We were taking
They kept pushing
temperatures
the
and
date.
yeah, we were
Get
taking
tested every two
temperatures
weeks.
and yeah, having people fill out forms in their cars before they came in. Craziness. Craziness. And then
So
partitions all up, you know.
yeah, I
It was
definitely
it
don't
was
want to
stunning.
go through that again in my life.
I can't believe it's like exactly almost around 4 years today. Like, that it
Yeah.
all was going down. Insane.
Meanwhile, we were like,
And it's like,
when is this going to stop?
yeah. And it
When
seems
are we going to
like
get back to our real life?
it was so long ago. I mean, it kind of was, but it almost seems like it didn't happen. It's very weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just crazy that
So
we even lived through it. But anyway, again, you had
so
to pivot. I was making color kits and doing curbside pickup for people. I was making
and
earrings and selling earrings.
I saw you do that, and I was afraid to do that because I was afraid to make the kits because and then people expected. My fear was people going to expect that price when they come back.
No. And a few people did
And
ask, and I wasn't entertaining that. I was like, "No."
no,
And I
yeah,
and I actually did kits for people that I weren't even my clients. Like, they were just
yeah.
people
So
that
you
needed.
can
Yeah,
get
I
hair
mean,
done,
they wound up not, coming to me for their hair, but I was like, "Whatever, you know what?" Like,
but it doesn't matter. You were making that extra money.
yeah. I mean, it was more of just like my sanity. It was like it gave me something to do. I would come into the salon, I would make them all up, and it was like curbside delivery. Everybody would line up outside the salon and I would like deliver them their little baggies. And what was so funny was that I was putting in, like medium-sized gloves, right? In the little baggie and stuff for people. And clients would text me and be like, "Oh my god, Nicole, I don't know how you do this. My bathroom's covered. It's got black all over it. Everything's a mess." She's like, they're like, "My husband's doing it." All the husbands were doing it for them. And I was
And
like, I have to start putting in bigger gloves because the husbands are the ones doing it. They're like, "It's a mess. Everything is all over the freaking
yeah.
bathroom. It's a nightmare." But they're like, "I can't wait to come back to you because I cannot do this. This is like way harder. You make it look so easy."
So then I guess it was good in a sense because they realized what they had
Yeah.
prior, you know, so
Yeah.
they're willing to
Yeah.
pay
Yep.
the price of what it costs.
Yep. Yep.
So what made you, so you were in Sola, you were scared, you were freaked out, but you made it through. I saw you in social media. That's how I found out about Sola Salon. I was in a salon
Yes.
working for someone, and I saw that you were posting, and I was fed up with my salon. And I'm like, I want to try this. And that's
Yeah.
when I
I
went
think you
into that
messaged
Sola
me
Salon
about
as
it.
well.
And
Yes, I did.
I was like, "Come. You need to come here."
And let me tell
Yeah,
you,
I think you were like I think it was like a year after I went in, you came in.
no, a couple months because you started
Oh, it was a
posting.
couple of
So
months.
we went
Okay.
in,
Yeah.
yeah, and you started posting, and I was having issues with my ex boss. He was in charging me I mean, I was making 20% of what he per client. Like it was horrible. But like what you
Yeah.
said, I was taking it as knowledge. I learned so much. But then when I wanted a raise, I did a lot of work. He wouldn't give it to me. So that's when I decided to go on my own. So I was there with you, and what you were going through, I know I was going through in a sense. I was literally sick to my stomach because not knowing if I was going to have the rent. I think at the
Yep.
time it was like $310 a week, and not have that
Yeah.
rent the next following week. You know, it was scary, but I never once, thank God, did not wasn't able to pay that rent.
Yeah, me neither.
So
I don't know how.
eh,
I don't know, but I just did it.
And but that's the thing, and I find nowadays everyone when I see people come in here and some of them know me from social media and they're like, oh, I know you, blah blah blah, and I start talking to them and they find out the price, they're kind of scared to make the move, and it's like fear stops so many people from making the move
Yeah.
because I feel like once you know that you have to pay that rent by the end of the week, you make it happen. Like it will make you want to work harder on social media or whatever it is that you
Yeah.
do to build that clientele. So to
You know what
me,
I
I
think?
need it.
Yeah. I think that part of my issue with a lot of with the girls, the girls that I had working and some other things. I think a lot of it was they didn't really have skin in the game. You have to have skin in the game. You have to have like a bill
You
to
have to want
pay
it.
to be like it's you have to have something to drive you to do it. If you make it too easy for these people, clearly we know how that goes. It's
Everybody will do
just
it, but everybody will do it though, right? If it's easy, everybody will be doing it. You know, to me, it's like the way I plan it is like I have to have one client in that week that's going to pay my rent,
right. Yeah. I
and
mean,
that's how it happens.
I know I would go and look at my week and be like, okay, like I knew how many clients I would need in a week to be able to pay my bills, right? Like I need this amount of people. And, I started creating goals for myself and be like, well, I want to get to this amount of clients a week because then that
Yep.
turns out to be this amount of money, like income that I'm making, right? Which kind of in turn leads me into a question for you as to you know, where you stand with cancellations and like sick cancellations and all that because I feel like a lot like it now as time has gone on being in this business for a while, a lot of things have shifted in that where everybody's taking deposits, everybody has a cancellation policy, not just us. You're talking doctors' offices, dental offices, they're charging a
Everyone.
fee. You can't even book to go to a restaurant these days without, leaving a credit card. And if you don't show up, you're getting charged, right? So, being solo on my own, I find that it's really a hard thing to
I
kind of enforce
Yeah. So,
because I have such a close relationship with these people. And
well,
I
but and they
have,
respect your time. Correct? That they respect the client that you have. Like I have a client since I've been here. She's from New York. She's been here. She's been with me 3 years already, and she texted me Monday morning last week or this week. I don't even know. It could have been this week that she's not feeling good. I'm sorry, I can't make it. I said, okay. When do you want to reschedule? She's like, can I come in Thursday? I couldn't put her Thursday. I put her in for Wednesday because I knew she was coming back to New York on Friday. Did I charge her? No. She's been with me for 3 years, and none of that 3 years she ever done this to me. So, it all depends who it is. Like if it's constantly every Monday you're coming in late, or every time you have an appointment you're coming in late, or you're not respecting my time, yes, I will be starting charging you. Or you know what? Most likely it's not gonna work, and I won't have you as a client because I want somebody that
right,
respects my time because I respect their time. If I'm running late, I'm gonna shoot them a text and say, "Hey, I'm so sorry, I'm running late," but I respect their time. So most likely I haven't in since I started doing the deposits in 3 years, I have not charged a client because I haven't had to. I think people
right.
know how I work. When they are new, I don't know about you, but I kind of feel it, and I really know if they're trying to skip my website and trying to book online, and they message me and they think I'm gonna. There's times where I don't take the deposit because I get that gut feeling. But when I get that gut feeling on Instagram, I'm not the. I need my deposit because I
Yeah,
don't know you. So when you're
I
really
know.
new like that, they don't.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, they don't respect your time. But once you get to build that connection with that client, I have to say, and I've been blessed that I don't have to do that because at the end of the day, I really don't want it. I don't want your money if I didn't
no,
work for it, but I also want you to respect
no,
my time.
I don't. But it gets really hard for me because like with my guy that built out my website, he deals with a lot of salons, right? And he actually has a podcast, whatever. And I've listened to he has, guest stylists on there and
Yeah,
owners of salons and the number one piece of advice and I that that I've heard is that you have to have a cancellation policy in effect and you have to
yeah,
enforce it even in the uncomfortable situations. Yes, of
correct,
course, we're human and things happen. We're moms, things happen. There are unforeseen circumstances that happen, right? But
correct.
if you, this is my issue. If you pretty much know, it's hard because if you wake up that morning and you're feeling like you have strep throat, like you woke up and you have strep throat, like I'm pretty sure you started feeling sick a couple of days prior. Like just shoot me a text to be like I'm not feeling great, like things are, which clearly I don't want you here if you're sick, right? But if you book a hotel room, you have to leave your credit card, right? If you're sick, they're still charging you. They're still
Hmm.
charging you if you're sick.
No, which
Like
is
if you don't show
100%.
up to your reservation, like for your restaurant because you don't feel good,
This,
you're still getting charged that $50 fee or whatever it is. I'm just saying that it
now,
has to be.
would you charge like a
God,
client that I had going on, like the client that it's been with me for 3 years and this never happened? Would you charge
I
her
mean, no,
for?
like it's really that's the problem. That's what's really hard for me. But if I
But
had a
you have to.
receptionist, like, listen, if I had a receptionist and I had some concierge service that this is the policy and that's it, they're
Yeah, but would you want to lose a client over that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
she's
but
willing
that
to. She's my every client. She's my bread and butter, right? And she brings me her daughter every time to get a balayage
right,
done and whatever. So it's like I'm not gonna lose her over 50% on the whole price because that would have been the whole price if
right,
less than
right,
24 hours over
right,
that because she's coming back. It's not she's canceling or playing games with me. You know what I'm saying? So
right. I understand like if they're rescheduling, but you have a lot of people that like not a lot of people, but you have people that you know, will s- I've found that it seems like they're like, "Well, I messed up my like budget for the week, but I could just like cancel my
That,
hair appointment and you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
that's a
Like
little different.
uh,
That's
and
different.
during COVID, of course, it was like, "Oh, I tested positive for COVID, I can't come in." And it's like, "Okay,
That was
clearly
tough
that's
because
fine."
do
Yeah,
you know if
that was
that's
fine.
really true? They were using
Of course it
COVID
was all
as
weight
a
at that point. But my thing is like I literally, which I'm sure you do, you look at your week, your schedule for the week, and you're like, okay, well, I'm making this amount of money this week, right? And now when
you're
someone
making less.
cancels on you last minute, now you're like, crap, how am I supposed to pay my cable bill because I thought I was going to have that money or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, unfortunately, at least for most of us that live on Long Island, that's kind of like how it works. We're like paycheck to paycheck, but not that it's that person's problem, the client's problem. But what I'm saying is that there has to be a consistency because, like, what if you bend the rules for one person and not the other? It's like, then
But
they don't
see,
take it serious.
no, 100%. And to me, it feels like you know who you know who's is kidding around and or listen, what you said. Oh, shoot, I looked at my budget. I'm not able to afford it. Let me just cancel. On the last minute because they looked at their bank account or because they had at
Right.
least a whole week. I mean, they booked beforehand, so they have 6 weeks to know if they're able to afford it or not. So yeah, I get frustrated if that was the case, but I
The other thing is
haven't
like
because
you're sending.
kind of
I sent out a reminder 48 hours prior to the appointment. At that time, if you feel like you can't make it, just send me because I need time to be able to get someone else in. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
exactly
it doesn't mean that
that you're
whatever you're booked for, I'm gonna book that exact appointment. I might book it for a haircut, but you were booked for a full balayage. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. It
yeah.
doesn't
No, I
sometimes work out like, there was no way. I had one of my a client, and I've only done her hair once before, and I adore her, and I love her, and you know, and she texted me this morning, and she said that she's throwing up and that she doesn't feel good.
but has she's
Like,
done this before?
I've only done her one other time.
Okay, so you
So
don't
in
know.
that
So that
case,
makes
what
it
do you do?
tough. So that
That's what I'm
that
saying. And
probably
I,
that
you
that's
know,
tough.
have it's hard because I feel like people I don't know if it's my personality or whatever it is, but I feel like a lot of clients and not to say that they're not and I don't feel that way about them, that they feel very close to me and that they're friends of mine and they
They connect
are
with you.
and it's a connection, right? And of course, I don't want to have to charge anyone. I really don't. Like I don't want to do that, but at the end of the day, I thought I was making a certain amount of money today and now I'm not.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like,
No, I'm with you, and I think like if they rebook the same week like this woman did, I was gonna let it go. And like I said, number so many reasons, right? She's been with me for 3 years and she's never once done this to me.
right.
And two, she rebooked for Wednesday, so I still made the money. And she was lucky
Right,
that
you're
I
still
had
making that money.
availability
Right.
because but she's lucky that I had the availability because why sometimes you don't have the availability when they need it. So
Right.
but she was lucky in that sense. So it all depends. If it was a new client, I might have to like remind them and say, hey, or since it was the first time, say, hey, I do have my policy that they sign every time they're new clients. I don't know about you, but do you have a software where
Right,
they
yeah.
sign their policy? So they do, and I'll maybe refresh their memory and let it pass. But if it's something continuous,
I
then
mean,
either you have to.
I will say, I mean, she said I'll pay her, a fee or whatever.
Okay,
And I
so she
said,
did say it. So she knew.
unfortunately, I said, I do have to charge you the fee. It's less than 24 hours. There was literally no way I was going to be able to get someone
So
in
how
here.
did she take it? How did she take it?
I mean, I don't know. I just said to her, I there will be the fee. I told her the amount, and then she was like, "Okay, well, I guess that's what we're gonna have to do." And then I said, "I hope you feel better." And I really haven't heard back, so I don't know.
So how do you
I
have
don't know
her
yet.
card? Did you charge her?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because
Okay.
I keep
So
cards on file. I mean, the
yeah. So
norm though, the norm is that I'm not doing, like, it doesn't happen on the regular. It doesn't really happen on the regular. You know what I'm saying? Like, but in those cases, I feel if I had someone at the desk or someone fielding these situations, it wouldn't be that way. Do you know what I'm saying? I that Because
right.
that feeling would be removed. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
where I go to get my extensions, right? They have a, you know, a receptionist at the desk. Their policy is their policy. Obviously it's a bigger salon, they have a ton of girls. It's not like we're doing a boutique type situation, but their policy is the policy. You don't do you have to confirm your appointment. If you don't confirm your appointment and they can't get a hold of you, the appointment's canceled and your credit card is charged automatic for the service. Like, they play no games. Like, you know, but they have someone handling that for them. And I feel like because it's us, that gets lost a little bit because we have the
Yeah. No, it's
relationships with these
true.
people.
Yeah. And I think you're 100% right. And I'm with you. I'm with you with that. It's definitely hard, but but when you don't, and you could kind of read people when you first get them. But when you first get clients, listen, I could read them like a book, and they usually don't last. And I don't, dumb type of client that I know this is not connecting, they're disrespecting my time, they're doing this and that. I just let them go. They don't last too long with me because, like you said, right? We're one on one. We're close settings, or we're one on one with our clients or whatever. So they sometimes feel like, oh, I'm going to take advantage of her. I could read it like a book, and I just don't let it. I fire my clients. I have no problem firing them if they're like that, because if they don't have respect for me, so I feel like it, because I don't hold that type of people, I have less of them problems, you know? Which I know you're similar with like me in a sense, like you don't put up with bullshit either, you know? So I'm sorry. Yeah. Say no, run. And 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 don't you notice, and it's always a cheap client. The one that's always was it diamond, nickel, was it penny? Was that saying? When they yeah, yes. It's always that one. It's always that one client. I swear to you, they give me the hardest time. The cheap ones, the people that don't ask for prices or whatever, and I do what they, not one beat, but the cheap ones. That's when it's like a red flag. So I mean, it's one thing we ask for a price. I don't care, it costs this much, blah, blah, blah. But when you're like, oh, but what if I don't get a blowout? What if you could just give me a cut without a blowout? Or you could this and da da da. And oh, so and so is cheaper. Then go to so and so. Like, I'm not making you come here. Like, so exactly. So, so Nicole, I'm gonna redo this. I'm hoping that my mic went through the whole time, because I see my bars. Yes. So I'm gonna turn off and then and hopefully it went through. If not, we're gonna if it did go through, we're just gonna finish it. And if it didn't go through, we're gonna do it again. But let me see, okay? So I'm gonna cut it off.